When you see a 180 precision hand cannon, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Bad kill time's the first one that comes to mind for me, but there's probably a lot it could be too. How about not meta, or poor range, or sluggish handling? The list could really go on. 180 hand cannons just don't shine in the Crucible, and they haven't for a long time, if ever. And a lot of that's because of what I just mentioned, but when I saw Trust reintroduced out of the blue this season, gotta tell ya, I felt something. Something that made me think that maybe this hand cannon could break the mold and be the best 180 hand cannon on the market. Maybe that's not a high bar, but anyways, let me explain. I started playing Destiny again after quitting when I left for college in 2017, and when I came back in late 2019, Trust was one of the earliest weapons that I got, so it's kind of held a special place for me ever since then. It was back at a time when I didn't know what was up. I didn't know the game inside and out. I just knew I liked it, it felt comfortable, easy to use, and I loved the contrast between being a space magic wielding hunter and also crushing enemies with a late 1800s looking Western pistol. Now unfortunately, as probably most of you know, when Beyond Light was launched only 1 year later in 2020, they sunset a whole boatload of our weapons, and Trust was one of them. Honestly, I didn't expect to see it again ever, but then one day nearly 3 years later, sneaking under the radar of both a new expansion and a new season, my old friend returned. So after all this time, it's back. But is it actually any good, or does it belong on the growing trash heap of 180 hand cannons? To get started, there's probably a few things you should know about 180 precision hand cannons as they stand right now. If you're unfamiliar, to land a kill in PvP they require 4 shots. Minimum 2 headshots and 2 body shots for the kill, landing at a crisp kill time of 1 second. Sounds fast until you realize the ever popular Immortal is killing at 0.67 seconds and even faster with traits like kill clip or target lock. So already it's going to lag behind some of the worst TTK values on a primary. Good start, I know, right? Trust is also part of an archetype that struggles with poor handling, and generally those ship pretty slow and heavy. Something important to remember is that Bungie designs their sandbox and its weapon archetypes to have unique benefits and drawbacks. Probably the best example that I can think of is Deadman's Tale back when it was actually usable. Deadman's Tale actually sports the exact same lengthy 1 second kill time that Trust does. What DMT had going for it, on the other hand, was ease of use, comfort, and reliability. It may have taken a full second for that kill, but you had excellent range, high stability, and really easy recoil that made for consistent follow-up shots, so you're very likely to hit that 1 second time to kill. And that right there is the key. When you trade damage and lethality, you're generally going to get something back for it. It's a high price. It's probably the biggest reason 180s just haven't been competitive, but there are benefits to it. The biggest thing to me is that Trust has that same comfort like DMT does. It's just reliable and easy to use. Even at middling stability, it feels very easy to manage and land follow-up shots. The recoil also feels very manageable, and it doesn't feel quite so much like a hand cannon to me as it does kicking really heavily, as much as it does maybe a heavy sidearm. I'm not great with hand cannons, but Trust just kind of hits different. Part of reliability and ease of use to me should also factor in how easy it is to land the optimal time to kill, or probably more commonly referred to as forgiveness. How many headshots can I miss before it actually starts dropping my time to kill? Well, for Trust you only need 2 crits and 2 body shots, which is actually super forgiving compared to most weapons. Compared to 140 hand cannons like Palindrome that need all 3 crits to kill, or 120s that are 2 crits 1 body, Trust feels pretty forgiving. Between how easy it is to land your shots and the overall forgiveness, I'd say it's actually rare that you don't get the kill in 4 shots, maybe 5 tops. And one more thing before we move on is that Trust also feels pretty good in the air, which I think is kind of a focus of the precision archetype, and can definitely be a tool in the bag if you like taking to the air. So what about the other issues like poor range and handling? Those are really important in PvP, especially considering we're living in an SMG meta as of this April 2023. And that's where the weapon traits come in, and this is where things get a little more exciting, because there are a lot of options to make up ground where Trust struggles. And let me be clear, Trust struggles like most other 180s to compete in a highly aggressive sandbox with extremely fast kill times. 180s are all about rewarding precision, pacing your shots, and proper spacing between you and your opponent, and Trust is really no different. And the fact stands that those principles kind of break down when you have a peacekeeping titan with a target lock immortal that's melting your face before you can even land a second shot. But like I said, the weapon traits can compensate for some of those weaknesses, so which one should you go for? Let's start with my favorite trait and probably the most important one, Golden Tricorn. Golden Tricorn addresses what I think is the most important issue for Trust, which I've mentioned before, time to kill. But why Golden Tricorn over Rampage or Adrenaline Junkie? Well, what makes it special is that it's kind of like a shortcut. After getting a kill, Golden Tricorn activates for 7 seconds at a 15% damage boost. That's important because that raises your crit damage from 60 to roughly 71 per shot and results in the easy 3 tap. And now suddenly you've gone from a 1 second time to kill to roughly 0.67 seconds, which is incredibly competitive now, right up there with the best. Tricorn is like a shortcut because 1 kill cuts down your time to kill immediately, whereas Rampage ×1 isn't going to do that. It might add some more forgiveness, but it's not going to decrease the amount of shots you actually have to land to get a kill. You need at least another stack of Rampage, and that's why Golden Tricorn is so good. It kind of cuts out the middleman, cuts out a lot of setup and a lot of luck that you would need, and makes Trust a whole lot more lethal for very little setup, just 1 kill. This role right here is what allows Trust to be even remotely viable in my opinion on a consistent level in today's sandbox. If you were to combine that with heating up in the first column, you would definitely be cooking. I wasn't lucky enough to get that role unfortunately, but with the damage fall off around 30 meters, you can really manage to dance just outside of SMG, fusion, and shotgun range and potentially dominate your opponents once you have Golden Tricorn rolling. At that point, I would say pulse rifles are probably your biggest competition. As for activating ×2 Tricorn, I wouldn't really worry about it. Getting a kill and then an ability kill is a lot of setup and pretty hard to actually take advantage of. And one last thing about Golden Tricorn and post-kill traits in general on Trust is that the kill time, like I said, is a full second. And I know I keep saying that over and over, but you're gonna feel it. And a lot of times you're gonna get killed because of it. It's just a reality. But because you know that going into it, you really need to adjust your playstyle around that kill time. It's way more likely that after successfully winning a duel and you have Golden Tricorn that you basically have no health left anyways. Longer kill times mean a longer duel and more damage taken, which in turn makes it more difficult to take advantage of your post-kill traits. Because of that, it's pretty hard to get rolling with Golden Tricorn when you're already one shot. Don't really want to run into a crowd, otherwise you're just going to get slapped. So if at all possible, peek shoot with Trust in your duels, use cover to your advantage, and then roll with higher recovery so that you can get your health back sooner after duels to take advantage of those post-kill traits, because I think that's really where Trust shines. Just something to keep in mind. Moving on to my next few traits, which we'll do in a little bit more of a rapid fire format, I've got Snapshot and Surplus in the first column. I really enjoy these traits on Trust because they address that issue of handling that we've talked about before. 180 precisions do generally feel pretty sluggish and slow on the draw, but either one of these traits do a great job of mitigating that handling issue and really provide a fluid and stable experience. I got a Snapshot rangefinder role which really performs well with super snappy handling and an extended range bandwidth, and if you're going for a neutral game role, that's probably going to be the one you want to go for. It's really quick and snappy, which is always great, and it's going to help you keep your distance between yourself and all those SMGs out there. Either that role for neutral game or explosive payload in the second column. The reason I really enjoyed that role is because you're doing a lot of extra flinch to your opponents. When a weapon has an extended kill time like Trust does at 1 full second, increasing the amount of flinch you inflict can be really beneficial in helping you win your duels. Anytime your opponent misses is going to give you a better shot. Not to mention the explosive has no damage fall off, so it sort of buffs your range a little bit indirectly. I know 180s are not the best dueling weapons on the market, but sometimes it just feels nice to mix it up a little bit and try some new weapons for PvP every once in a while. Trust can definitely scratch that itch, and if you have really nice traits, I think it'll do it quite well. A combination like heating up Golden Tricorn is going to have you steamrolling enemies after a kill with increased accuracy and damage. You're going to be 3-tapping Guardians at a rate of 180 RPM. It's going to feel like you kind of can't miss. And then rolls like Snapshot Sights and Explosive Payload are going to provide a super fluid upfront experience while also flinching the absolute heck out of your opponents. If a good roll comes your way, I'd definitely give this thing a try. It's a lot of fun, and I've been enjoying trying a different playstyle and seeing if I can adapt to a less popular weapon archetype and still be successful with it. But personally for me, I find it more fun to talk about weapons that not everyone's talking about since, you know, everyone's been creating reviews on the Immortal, and honestly it feels like 50% of people are using it. So I hope you did enjoy this review on a weapon that's a little bit different. Obviously it's not meta. You're not going to have a 5.0 KD with this every game, and you may not even go flawless with this weapon, but it's just fun to try something different. I do also review other weapons and create builds and post helpful tips and all kinds of stuff to make Destiny life a little easier. So if you want to see everything I upload from full videos to shorts, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Anyway, enough YouTuber stuff. As always, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys next time.